Okay. Did everyone chew over yesterday's yes? Think of putting it together like this. How do all these things come together? Yechida is one thing. Simcha and Yada is another thing. Nes, the Rubish, the Teva is another thing. Beiro is another thing. Idea binary Okay, now we have to work with. You see how all these things are connected. Yechida, Simcha V'Yada, Nes B'Luvish B'Teva, Geiro, Amuna. Is there any connection between all these subjects, or they're all disjointed? What? Right. So they're really all the same thing. It's each one in a different context, but the idea is the same in all of them. Purim is a Nes B'Luvish B'Teva. What did we explain? It has to come from the place that's the opposite, ultimate infinite, right? Geiro comes from a place which is also above logic, above calculations, above everything, and that's why it's a Geiro. It's just looks like it's random. Purim was an issue of Amunah. Amalek attacks our Amunah. Amunah is also something which is above Seichel. Simcha D'Lo Yada, which is unlimited Simcha, is also above Seichel. Which basically means what happens on Purim, because the enemy that we have to defeat is an enemy that comes from the highest place in Klippa. Therefore, in Kedusha, we need the highest point in Kedusha to defeat it. And that's how all these things are interconnected. On the side of Klippa, it's Yudei Rabbeinu Muhammad Limrabei. So we explained that all other Klippas, they're not directly rebelling against Hashem. They just want personal pleasure. And so it happens to be that in order to get my pleasure, I have to violate Hashem's will. So I don't care, but I'm what I'm looking for, what I'm pursuing is pleasure. Amalek is much deeper than that. Amalek is pursuing to undermine any kind of acceptance of Hashem, any kind of consciousness of Hashem, and that's why Amalek is suffix, and it's something which doesn't make any sense. It's chutzpah v'lo taga. It's not about gaining something. It's because Amalek got burnt. It's just because cannot tolerate godliness in the world. So to put it into a nutshell, Amalek is the essence of Klippa, not just the ordinary Klippa. The 7 nations are details. Amalek is the core, the essence, the nucleus. So we have to also have the nucleus in Kedusha to attack it. And that's why the way to really overpower Amalek is by being connected to Moshe Rabbeinu, or in every generation to the Nasi Adar. In that generation was Mordechai HaTzadik. And Moshe Rabbeinu's times it was Moshe Rabbeinu. When Mashiach comes, it'll be Mashiach. Is because it has to be the highest point in Kedusha to counteract the highest point in Klippa. That's how all these things come together. And we'll still go into something inside, but just hoping that you'll get a little bit of a more clear perspective in everything we said yesterday. No?
Yeah.
Okay, tonight you'll sleep much better. So now, to go into another detail connected to all this is, why is there such an emphasis on children, on Purim? It's a yontif for children. What? It's a yontif for children. It's a holiday, a chag, specifically for children. Children get dressed up, and they are, they go around bringing. It's a mitzvah to educate the children to deliver the shalach manas. It revolves a lot around children. What's the reason for that?
Because they have a money.
Okay. No? Yes, you're right.
Is it because of the design and the previous they were ready?
That's also correct. What else did Mordechai do? Right, he gathered together 22,000 children, and that was the schus that helped overcome the decree. There's also another thing. Yeah.
Is it like the children are the guarantors, like they're the guarantors of the time and like it's like a read? Is it because of that?
Very good. That's another reason. Being that Purim was the time that the Jewish people re-accepted the Torah, who were the guarantors when we accepted the Torah? It were the children. So here again, if this is re-accepting the Torah, we need the guarantors, which are the children. But also on the negative side, Haman, remember I told you the story that when Haman actually heard the children reciting the 3 psukim, he was furious. And he said, it's these children I'm going to start with first. I'm going to destroy them first. So it's brought down that not only Haman, but in all generations, all the enemies of the Jews who tried to destroy Judaism, what they said was that the most important thing is to not allow the children to go there and to get involved in Yiddishkeit. And if you uproot the children, everything is fall apart. Which means if you have a building, you can destroy a floor, you can destroy a window, you can cut off electricity, but what would it be that would destroy the entire building if you destroy the foundation? Children are the foundation of the whole future. If chas v'shalom, the children are destroyed, everything is destroyed. And there's a few examples in history, starting with Paro. Who did Paro come out with the worst, harshest decrees was to throw the children into the Nile. And the children shouldn't be able to grow up to be Jewish children. And he knew that if the children are contaminated, the whole future will be contaminated. And then many others. And in recent history, in Russia, when the Soviet Union was what it was, even though it's trying to be the same right now, won't be successful, chas v'shalom. But what it was, the worst crime you could commit in Russia was teaching children Torah. If they found a Jew sitting and learning Torah by himself, it wasn't so terrible. Even if they found a few adults learning Torah, they allowed that also. But one of the worst crimes, understand that for teaching children Torah, they could have even, God forbid, executed a person on the spot, sent them to Siberia. This is the most severe punishment, is teaching children Torah. And one of the greatest Mesiras Nefesh of Chabad Hasidim in Russia was teaching children Torah. So the Frierdiker Rebbe established underground yeshivas where the children would study Torah underground, and he had a whole network all over Russia with children learning Torah underground, and that was the biggest crime that he committed. So it's all about children, and that's why we on Purim we celebrate a lot with the children. On a deeper level, you said, I think you said, because children have emunah. Who said that? You said it. So it does say there's a pasuk in Tehillim, and you might be familiar with the pasuk because it's in davening, and some of you say it every single day. The words are Al Tigu b'Mashiachai. Do not touch my anointed one. Uvinviai al Tareyo. Don't harm my prophets. What does it mean, my anointed one? On the simple level, it could mean anointed. Our kings are anointed one, people that are leaders. So it says, don't try to hurt the anointed ones and don't try to hurt the prophets. But there's also a message that says, Al Tigu Shichai, these are the children. Why are children called the anointed ones? So the simple meaning for that is because the mothers would put all sorts of oils and perfumes on the children, because children play in the garbage and they're not in all these pleasant places, some powders and just like today, you put things on so the child should smell good. That's the simple meaning. But the Rebbe says that Mashiachai actually means Mashiach. That children are called Mashiach. Why are they called Mashiach? Because of this reason, that the Amunah in general and the Amunah in Mashiach by children is pure and clear and solid and simple. By children, much more than adults. And the reason for that is, why Taka is that? Because Amunah in general comes from Yechida. It's something above logic. When a person is born, the Yechida of the Neshama is more open. And therefore, as a result of that, we have natural Amunah. When we see children have Amunah, you tell them about Hashem, you tell them about the miracles in the Torah, they don't even question you. It's very simple to them. You would say, because children are gullible, they're not smart, so they don't ask any questions. But the real reason is, in fact, there were certain, especially in the recent times with the new Enlightenment movements, people started to introduce ideas of not telling children a lot of the stories of the miracles, because it's so like out of nature that they won't get it. They might be turned off. But the truth is, the opposite is true. The children accept these stories of above nature and the moon and Hashem much deeper than the adults. And the reason is, again, people would say because they don't, their brain is not developed. But the real reason is because the Yechida in a child is revealed more than an adult. What happens is when a boy turns 13 and a girl turns 12, what's developed at that age? The Seichel. When the Seichel comes out more openly, the Amunah starts getting overshadowed and hidden as a result of the Seichel becoming more pronounced. And therefore, it's not so simple to have simple faith. But when you're younger and the Seichel hasn't developed yet, so the Yechida is shining more openly. And that's one of the reasons why Purim, which is the time that our Yechida is revealed, why there's such an emphasis on children. And there's other times in the year where this applies, and I think we'll talk about it when we get there. But this explains the scene with the children. So now, let's talk about the story with the three children. And let me give this out. Oh, it always have to happen. I guess I was in a rush and forget what I prepared. Okay, we'll do it orally because you all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the three psukim in Siddur. If you have a Siddur on you or a phone that you can look up on the Siddur, let's look at the three psukim. Oh, very well. There were three children. One child said, "Altira mipachat pisim, m'shoyis Hashem kisovi." Do not fear sudden terror, and don't be afraid of the destruction of the wicked when it comes. Okay, that's one pasuk. The second pasuk is Utzu eitz of a sufar. They will contrive a scheme, but it'll be foiled. Hashem will ruin it. They will have a plot, but it won't come to materialize because Hashem is with us. And then comes the third part where it says, "To your old age I am with you. In your later years, I will sustain you. I will carry you and sustain you and deliver you in your old age," which means you'll be healthy in your old age, just like in your young age. So obviously, if you stop three children and they said three different psukim, there must be three different things about it. And there's another way of explaining why Mordechai was so excited. He wasn't just excited because he said the prophecy, but he was excited because when he saw that the children had the proper chinuch, proper education, and they had the proper trust in Hashem, that he knew that we have the power to defeat this enemy. And explains that these three psukim are three parts in bitachon, in trust. Some of you will learn the famous sikh of the Rebbe in Shmos. And of course, now is a time where bitachon is extremely relevant and something which we have to strengthen. And that is that, generally speaking, the difference between Amunah and Bitachon is Amunah means to believe in Hashem, and Bitachon is about the future. Bitachon is something that is the opposite of anxiety and worry about the future. But what is Bitachon? So first of all, there are two ways of explaining it. One way is the general way. Most people you will talk to, in all different communities around the world, they will probably tell you the first way. Then there's a deeper way, which the Rebbe emphasizes in the Sikhs, based on the teachings of Baal Shem Tov, and based on a very famous book called Chavis Halvavas, a deeper way of looking at Bitachon, and that's the second child. And then there's a third point, and that's the third child. So let me explain the difference between the first two. The first way of explaining bitachon, which means I am confident, or bitachon means I am calm, there's no anxiety, is explained as follows. Hashem is in charge. So let's say a person has a business, and the business is going bankrupt because of whatever is going on in the business world, in the market, and now his business is going bankrupt, which means it's just a matter of weeks, and everything will just fall apart and collapse. There's not one single business expert that tells him that he's going to be able to get out of this. He's calm. Why is he calm? He has bitachon. What's the basis of the bitachon? So the first level is the basis of the bitachon. He says to himself like that, Hashem is in charge. If it's not meant for me to have a loss, a financial loss, then something will happen one way or the other, because Hashem could do everything and anything, and I won't have the financial loss, because my financial loss is not coming as a result of something that's going on naturally. It's because Hashem wants it to be. So if he doesn't want me to have a financial loss, no matter what the market says, no matter what the experts say, I won't lose my money. If chas v'shalom, I meant to lose the money because Hashem wants it, otherwise it wouldn't happen. So again, I'm calm, because if Hashem wants it, that must be it's for my benefit. And it's something which is good for me. Maybe it's hidden, but it's good. So again, I'm calm. I don't have any anxiety because I know it's coming from someone who loves me and loves me unconditionally. And therefore, whatever's happening is good. So this would apply to health, this would apply to finances, this would apply to relationships, this would apply to everything and anything. And that's what it says, which means I'm not sure that things will turn out exactly the way I want them to turn out, but I'm sure that it's going to be good, and therefore I'm calm. So the definition of bitachon, according to this, means peace of mind, calmness. Then there's another level of bitachon, and that is expressed in the famous words of the Tzemach Tzedek, Trach Gud v'Zayin Gud. And that is, it's much more than that. Not only am I calm, because I know everything Hashem does is for the good, but I'm actually confident and sure that things will turn out good in a way that I will see that it's good, in a revealed way. Which means that I will actually not have any loss of money. Not that I believe that if I do have a loss of money, it's for a good reason. I won't have a loss of money. And the person who's not well will be healed. And this other danger that's going on will go away. How could a person be so sure? So for that, there's that sikha with all the details, but the thrust of it is that Hashem says, trust me, and if you trust me, I guarantee you that things will be good in a revealed way, if we have the absolute trust. And the basis for having the trust, because how can I be sure? Maybe I don't deserve. Doesn't Hashem give people reward and give people punishment? How can I be sure I'm not such a big tzaddik? The answer is, the fact that trust helps is irrelevant whether I'm a tzaddik or not a tzaddik. Hashem says, in normal circumstances, I give according to what you deserve. But if you have trust in me, then whether you do deserve it, don't deserve, the mere fact you have trust, in that merit, I will give you what you're trusting for. So this is the second level, that you actually believe that things will turn out good. And that's the difference. Let's look at the two psukim now again. Do not fear the sudden terror. Don't be afraid of destruction of the wicked when it comes. It doesn't give a reason why not to be afraid. It doesn't say things will turn out good. It says don't be afraid, because this is the first level of bitachon. Don't be afraid because it's coming from Hashem. And therefore, if it's not meant to happen, it won't happen. And if it's meant to happen, it's also good. The second pasuk says something different. Utzu eitzav asufa, they're making plans, but it's not going to happen. Why? Because Hashem was with us, so all their plans to hurt me won't ever come to fruition. That's the second level of bitachon. Yeah.
What's the sikha? The name of the sikha you're referring to?
We identify it by not the name, but where it is. So it's in volume Lamed Vav of the Kuti Sichos, and it's the first sikha in the entire book. You have the sikha in Yiddish, you have the sikha in Hebrew, and we also have the sikha in English. So if anyone wants, I can give you the sikha with Hebrew English together. What? The Rabbi earlier in the year, probably. Yeah.
I can show you.
Then comes the third thing, which is Hashem says, to your old age, I'm with you. With all in your elderly years, I'll sustain you. I'll made you. I'll carry you, sustain you, and deliver you. Which basically means here we're saying that being that Hashem is the one who's making it happen, and Hashem is above nature. So even things that are absolutely inconceivable how they could possibly happen, like an older person should be as healthy as a younger person and be full of energy like a younger person. Hashem is not limited by the laws of nature. So Sarah at the age of 90 had a baby, and Abraham at the age of 91 had a baby, because they're not limited by the laws of nature. So basically the third part is adding that because I'm trusting in Hashem, that He's going to make things happen, even if I don't see, like when something goes wrong, people are playing, so how could Hashem change it? He can make this, He can do that, maybe this will happen, maybe that will happen. But over here, it's not this or that, just trust Hashem that even things that have no way, there's nothing I could plan in the natural way, how something could change and be reversed, Hashem could make it happen anyway. So that's the other explanation, that when he saw that these three children have absolute bitachon in Hashem, and bitachon which means to have absolute confidence in Hashem, that is the vessel that brings Hashem's bracha. And by children, this is stronger than adults, like we said before, because they have the yichida more open. Until how long are you a child? What? What? Right. Basically, this idea of being a child means someone under the age of bar mitzvah, under the age of bas mitzvah, because that's the point when the brain starts developing, and once the intellect starts developing, then the yechida starts becoming sort of more concealed. There's once a chassid that said, let me see if you understand this. He said like this: the first place where Ein Sof, where the infinite light of Hashem starts being revealed, is Chachma of Atzilus. You follow that? You understand why? No? No. Anyone can tell me why? The first place where the Ein Sof, the infinite light of Hashem, which is infinite and above, say the Shtalshas, the first place where it started being revealed is Chachma of Atzilus.
Because it's the highest.
It's the highest, right? So that's the first time that the Ein Sof starts becoming revealed in a more revealed way in our world. It's not yet here. It's Atzilus, but it's the first place, right? Then he added, and the first concealment on Ein Sof is also Chachma of Atzilus. Because the only reason why that light could be revealed is because it also becomes concealed. So a little bit could be revealed. Is that a tongue twister? It's not so complicated. The Eivishter's light is Ein Sof, is infinite. So how does Hashem reveal the light? He contracts it, and it's revealed in a finite way, which means it's a lesser way than it is in its infinite. That's Chachma Vatzilus. So he was saying it's interesting. At Chachma Vatzilus, that's where Ein Sof is revealed for the first time. Because before Chachma Vatzilus, everything was just infinite. Infinite is not revealed. But the first place that Ein Sof starts becoming concealed is also Chachma. The point he was making was that it's intellect, it's logic, that is the first concealment on Ein Sof. As soon as the logic develops, then the deeper parts of the neshama, which are infinite, and the yechida, and above logic, all that starts sort of going into a hidden state, because the seichel covers up on it, and seichel interferes.
Sounds interesting.
What? Yeah. Yes.
You said we have like three parts of the Muna. What's the third one?
The third one is that we believe. Third one is saying that even in your old age, it means that to say that the person in his old age will be as healthy and as strong and as alive and like he was in the young age, which is basically saying that Hashem can do things and will do things, even though it's totally not according to the order of nature. So where do you find some of the things we just spoke about on the list? Let's look on the list for a second. You have number 30 and 31. 30 says, "Imein Gidoyim ein Tiyoshin." The Gemara says these were the words of Haman HaRasha. He said, the first thing that I'm going to do, God forbid, will be destroy the children. Why? Imein Gidoyim, if you don't have kids is a baby goat, then you won't have the adult goats. In other words, if you don't have any children that are in the Torah, then you won't have any adults that are studying Torah. And the term for children that you would find in Gemara, you find this in Halacha, you find this in Chassidus, is 31, Tinekas Shel Beis Rabban, which means children that still go to school. And this is the abbreviation which you'll find often, Tashbar. You'll see it stands for these four words, Tinekas Shel Beis Rabban. Now, another thing related to this is number 17. Number 17, yes.
Sorry, can you read, what's 30 mean?
30 means if there are no baby goats, Gedi is a baby goat, and Tayosh is an adult goat. If there are no babies, there are no adults. Meaning if there's no children, there won't be any adults. If there are no children that are studying Torah, then before you know, there won't be any adults studying Torah. This is also the explanation when the Jews were asked by Hashem, give me a guarantor. They said, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were guarantor. They said, Hashem said it's not good enough. The prophets will be guarantors, not good enough. The tzaddikim will be guarantors, not good enough. The guarantor that was accepted was that the children will study Torah. If the children will study Torah, then Judaism has a future. Number 17. We didn't do number 17. I think we did almost everything on the sheet. Let's go over and test you what you know, what you don't know. 17. Don't be scared. Have bitachon that you know all the answers. Or that I won't ask any of the questions. Call up patient yad neisneloi. Anyone know what that means? No.
You know, when his hand and you could even
What does that mean?
stuck.
When? Where? What? What about Montgomery Street? So there's a halacha in regards to Purim that whoever just stretches out the hand to ask, you give. Which again means that the mitzvah of giving on Purim, just like the simcha on Purim is unlimited simcha, Adar Yada. By the way, Adar Yada is even more than Yontif. In the Chumash it says you should be happy on Yontif. But it says that the Bezdin would send people to all the communities to make sure that even though people are being happy on Yontif and they're drinking wine on Yontif, but to make sure that people don't overdo it and don't become high, and then it could lead to inappropriate conduct. So Purim is even more than Yontif. Over here, the mitzvah is to drink to the point that you become intoxicated, you become high. So that means that the simcha is unlimited. Here's another thing, that the giving of tzedakah on Purim, you don't look, you don't question, you don't examine. Whoever only stretches out a hand, you just give.
But also you need to give without someone else, right?
The highest level of tzedakah you give without, but sometimes someone comes over and you're questioning in your mind, are they really poor? Maybe they have money, all sorts of things like that. And therefore you're limited in your giving. But on Purim, you don't ask any questions. You don't even say, well, maybe I'll give tomorrow. Whoever stretches out a hand on Purim, you should give. By the Rebbe, Purim was one of the most outstanding days of the year. And yet within the Purims, there are a few years that really very unusual things happened. One of them was, I told you about 1953, the Purim that Stalin died. One of them was 1966. 1953, I only heard about. 1966, I was there at the Farbrengen. And as you know, that in general, Chassidim, even not on Purim, middle of the year, they would have a Farbrengen, say L'chaim, get a little bit high. And the purpose was not Chas v'Shalom to go wild, but through this, they were able to sort of overcome certain limitations with themselves. And every time a person walked away from Brengen the way it was supposed to be, through saying L'chaim, was you walk away stronger and more uplifted. And you were able to get yourself to a place that without that, you couldn't get there. That's the way it was. However, as early as actually 1953, you already find a letter from the Rebbe, where the Rebbe is writing to a certain mashpia in Montreal. And he's writing to them that today, you don't really need this, and therefore it's not such a positive thing, the drinking of l'chaim, of mashka. And even though this was something Chassidim did throughout all the generations, the Rebbe gave two reasons. One reason was that today there's a big emphasis on spreading Chassidus to the outside. And it could make a very negative impression if someone from the outside sees a chassid drunk. He doesn't get it, and it looks something which could be a turnoff. The other reason the Rebbe said is today we have so much Chassidus printed, so many sikhs printed, so many farbrengens printed. We don't need the mashka, we can do without it. That was to a certain chassid. I don't know what became of it then, but about 10 years later, there was an incident at a wedding where someone drank a lot, and there was some very unpleasant things that happened as a result of it. And then the Rebbe came out and he said that he is coming out with a command to every single chassid that no one should drink more than 3 small cups of mashka, not more than 3. And he said, when I'm talking about drinking less than the revius, he said, I'm not talking about the cup that belonged to Og Melech HaBashan. He was the giant, so his cup was a little bigger. I mean the cups that we use, not to drink more than 3. A number of years later, the Rebbe added 1 more cup. He said not more than 4. But then he said not more than 3. And since then, it stopped. The Rebbe called it almost like a decree. No one is allowed to drink more than 3. And Purim Tavshin Chavo, 1966, in general that year, the Rebbe spoke a lot about the fact that it was 100 years since the passing of the Tzemach Tzedek. And it's a special year. By that Farbrengen, at one point, the Rebbe said that he's lifting his sort of rule about not drinking, and everybody should drink without limitations. Try to imagine what it looked like. I remember there was someone that came from Israel, actually not from a Chabad family, so he wasn't used to these things. And the Rebbe had a very close connection to this person's grandfather. The Rebbe called him up. He was a bacher, our age. And the Rebbe gave him a cup like this with mashka, but not mashka, 190 proof. Told him to drink it. And the place was really wild. All of a sudden, the Rebbe stood up and said, Kol ha'poishij yad noisnalei. Whoever will stretch out a hand, you give him. Which means the Rebbe is saying he's going to distribute mashka to whoever stretches out the hand. So, of course, I want to explain, when the Rebbe gives out mashka, he's not being there to, get me the whiskey because I can't get it myself. When the Rebbe gives out dollars, when the Rebbe gives out a tanya, the Rebbe gives out a maimer, like Ata Tetzava, or the Rebbe gives out wine, which we do at every yontif, Kersha Bracha, stand hours and give it out. What's the point? The Rebbe was not giving us wine or mashka, and even a sefer. The Rebbe was giving us something more spiritual, but it was being transmitted through this object. Sometimes it was $1, sometimes it was wine, sometimes it was honey cake, sometimes it was matzah, depending on the situation. But all these things that the Rebbe distributed, these were ways of how the Rebbe transmitted something more spiritual. A story that sort of highlights this was a story that happened with the Rebbe Rashab. It was on Farbrengen, and there was a chassid sitting at the distance, and the Rebbe Rashab picked up the mashka and said, I want to give you l'chaim, meaning come over and I'll give you l'chaim. So the person who's sitting far away picks up his cup and says to the Rebbe, I have. So the Rebbe said to him, what do you have and what do you think I'm giving you? What he has was whiskey. The Rebbe doesn't give whiskey, he's giving something else. What do you have? And then he added how painful it is when you want to give something to someone and they show you the materialism that they have. In other words, you have mashke and I'm giving you something completely different. So when Rebbe gave out dollars to people, the Rebbe gave out wine to people, the Rebbe gave out honey cake, gave out matzah before Pesach. All these things were ways of the Rebbe. That means the Rebbe saw that there was a need for certain brachas, and he would give it through these conduits, so to speak. So then when the Rebbe stood up and said, whoever stretched out his hand is going to get, everybody ran forward to get, because it's Purim, and the Rebbe is sort of pouring blessing. Wow. And the pushing was so much to the point that it became like almost impossible. The leg of the Rebbe's chair, the Rebbe was standing, but the leg of the chair actually broke from all the pushing. And then at a certain point, the Rebbe left to go home because there was too much pushing. As the Rebbe stepped outside of 770 on the first step, somebody who was a bacher at the time, now he's a very known person called Rabbi Volpe, he told the Rebbe, I didn't get yet. So he stuck out his cup gave the Rebbe mashka, and the Rebbe poured mashka for him. And anybody, all the other people who didn't get it ran over. And the Rebbe gave them. And as the Rebbe is walking to the car, he's giving. By the time he got to the car, there were people surrounding the car, and there were people on top of the car, laying down and stretching out their hands for mashka. And what happened was that because they were on top of the car, couldn't even go into the car because the roof of the car caved in. The Rebbe ended up going with someone else's car. Finally, the Rebbe went home. When the Rebbe came home, a lot of people who didn't get it ran to the house, and they stopped the Rebbe there, and the Rebbe continued to give. And when the Rebbe came back in the morning, there were people that were still up from the night, because this itself ended Mistam about 4:00 in the morning. So again, people stretched out their cups, and the Rebbe gave them. But I remember Mincha time, somebody walked over to the Rebbe, and he said, "Well, it's not Purim anymore." I said, "You can pour yourself if you want." The Rebbe told him. And that was it.
Because you have to, right?
It was a special time. Obviously, something was going on spiritually, and the Rebbe shared that with us. What? Right. And then we have to take advantage of the time. So the words the Rebbe used were these words: "Kol ha-poshijad," whoever will stretch out a hand, "Neisen loy," you get. But the Rebbe, even though there was such a commotion and there were so many people, we saw how the Rebbe paid attention to every single person that he get, to the extent that I remember somebody came to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, "I gave you already." He was shocked. And what happened? So those days, the cups were a little bit different. They were waxed. And from all the pushing, it made a crack in the cup. So they told the Rebbe the cup had a hole in it and everything leaked out. So the Rebbe says, what's the point to give you if your keli has a hole and everything leaks out? There's no point in giving you. Another person, a lot of people had interesting, one person said, "I'm taking for me and for my friend so-and-so." So the Rebbe said, "Where is he?" And then he said, "He can't push." So he said, "If he can't push, then he doesn't get." So obviously it was a time that's something that had to happen also above Seder, not a normal situation. And that's a very famous Purim for Purim Tovshin Chov of 1966. Yes.
The Rebbe used to leave alone because there was too much pushing and too many people.
No.
He said.
No, normally there wasn't this. This was because the Rebbe himself sort of opened the door, but normally it wasn't such a built-in Seder,
Normally
there was an order, there was people were squashed, but that was, in the base of English, people were squashed. That's what it says in Pirkei Avos. People were squashed. One of the miracles were people were squashed, but never did someone say, "Oh, I feel so squashed there," because the love for the base of English and the appreciation of being here. You can look up in Pirkei Avos. There were 10 miracles. This is one of the miracles. Have you ever learned about the base of English? How big do you think it was? It was smaller than 770. And yet, who was there? Every Jew that lived came to the base of English for Yantiv. And by the way, they brought their cows along with them also for the carbon. So it was a miracle. And yet it says the miracle was not just that everybody fit, the miracle was that nobody ever said something like, "Oh, it's so hard to be here." Okay, so Rabbi Hanoka can't come today. I tried to get the different Rabbi Glitch Halacha, he can't come today either. So I won't do this with the whole 3/4 of an hour, but we'll learn a sikha on Purim related, something we learned, small sikha, and maybe for half an hour, and then we'll have a break. Someone can give this out. Something
Which
in sikha where it's all in detail.
Which sikh is it?
Oh, it's you actually. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
I was thinking which malk is it. It's a sikh in Chela Gimel of the Kutas Sikhas. Want to take a moment to breathe? You can take a moment to breathe.